Well, good morning, good evening, and good afternoon, wherever you may be on this Saturday to Sunday night. It's currently 46 minutes now after I think, the midnight hour. And I am your host, CB Smallwood, here on Sketching Past Midnight. Got my little ticker going. You like that? And what I'm working on right now is I'm basically sketching for not sketching, but I'm drawing some comic, like a comic for the 100s Anthology Volume 3. There's three fingers, and you know I got invited to this, which I'm deeply appreciative of, and I love the 100s community. And for those that don't know, the 100 Days of Making Comics challenge is something that got started by Kevin Cross, like way back when. And basically, he is a comic artist who just wanted to make his own comics, but he always had these jobs he had to do for other people, and it got to the point to where he got sick of it, and he wanted to make time for himself and his projects that he's passionate about. And at the time, there was all these different hundreds challenges going on: 100 days to lose weight, 100 days to get fit, 100 days for this and that, and the whole nine yards. Well, he decided that he's going to do a 100 days of making comics challenge, to where he would, for 100 days, every single day, work on his comic and spend no less than 30 minutes a day, working on it and that sort of thing. And let me make sure that this nib here is ready to go. Ideally, you want to clean these boogers beforehand, get the best use out of them. But I've learned that you can kind of scratch them to kind of get them somewhat clean. Right now, somebody that actually knows how to ink properly, they're watching in horror as I do this. It's important to clean your nibs, folks, because they don't work right if you don't. So anyway, Kevin Cross did this challenge where every single day for at least 30 minutes a day, he would work on his comics. It doesn't matter if it was inking, lettering, drawing, whatever. And then he would do a video and upload it to YouTube or whatever, And people watched it, and they got, oh, that almost is a bad accident. They got mesmerized by it. They thought it was pretty cool. I mean, it is cool. It is a very interesting thing, And get in here just a little better so you can see. But it is a very cool thing, and he did it, and people loved it, and they wanted to do it too, and it sort of took on a life of its own. And so here we are, a lot of other people doing the 100s challenge, and I've done it in the past. It was one of the best things I ever done, quite frankly, because it kind of kicked my butt into gear into actually being sincere about trying to be a comic book artist. And it's not that I'm an insincere person when it comes to that stuff. It's just that we tend to, or at least I do, let life get in the way a little bit with doing what I feel like could be my calling. And I can't say that with any type of certainty because, just because you got skills in a particular area doesn't necessarily mean that that could be your calling, because you never know. I mean, how this stuff works. At least I don't. I kind of don't like how there's all these little lines that are not really meshing in a way that that appeal to me. So anyway, what you're looking at right now is my submission for the 100's Anthology, which is going to be a group of anywhere from 5 to 20 different comic creators sending in their creations, their stories to this 100's Anthology. So it's going to be anywhere from 5 to 20 different stories that's going to go in this thing. And the theme of this book or whatever is going to be fantasy in space or space fantasy. And the best way to think about it, people that's sort of done that would be Star Wars is a mixture between space, sci-fi, and fantasy. And then He-Man is a mixture of that. And I'm basically sort of doing a He-Man story. It's a He-Man not story. How about that? It's a not He-Man story. But, I have a barbarian in this bad boy, so there's that. I've not really got it super planned out of what I'm going to talk about tonight, but I do have a rough topic, and I plan not to keep things too long. I've talked about this forever that I really want to ramp up my show and improve a lot of stuff, which I plan on doing. I just haven't got around to it yet. I haven't got it all figured out. Maybe one day I will, but for right now, I just really enjoy hanging out with all of you and communicating and all that wonderful stuff. So I just wanted an excuse to broadcast here on YouTube and then also have a nifty replay on this site and on a wonderful site called Odyssey. If you're not on Odyssey, you need to be. So, yeah, there's that. Anyway, let me answer a few comments and then we'll get into tonight's topic. Will it be a long topic? I don't know. It just depends on how these things go. Our wonderful friend Josh is here with us tonight. He says, do you think that you will ever try to do a digital tablet to draw in ink? Well, I'm open to it. I really am. People have talked to me about it in the past and tried to steer me in that direction. There's definite benefits, big benefits to using a tablet and stuff like that. But here's my mindset on that. I'm not one of these people that it's like my way or the highway or my way superior or anything like that. But for me personally, I enjoy traditional methods, and I like the fact that when I'm done with my artwork, should a rainy day ever happen or anything like that, I can take and sell my original pages. You can't really, do that with digital. But that's one big plus for doing things traditional. But having said that, digital is awesome because being able to fix your mistakes and enlarge things and shrink things and do that whole bit, it would be a truly awesome way to go, and at some point I would imagine that I would embrace that for a project in the future, because why not? But by and large, for the most part, I think I'll always be a traditional guy, as my preferred method. But in the future, I will do some digital stuff. I'm sure of it. Our most awesome friend Sideburns is here with us, and he says, hello, hello, hello to you, good sir. My nib's getting a little dry. It's getting scratchy. I try not to scratch the paper. It's a fine discipline. And I'm so surprised that I've started to really get something of a knack on using these nibs. Because there for the longest, it really did not feel like this was working out too well doing the nib business. But I've learned nifty little tricks to get the nibs to kind of behave somewhat to how I want to use them, you know. So anyway, you don't want to hear about nibs. At least I don't think so. Tonight's topic is, am I real? Took me 12 minutes to get here, but here we are. Am I real? Am I real? I honestly don't know. I don't know if I'm real or not. And I'm not talking about in the sense of like, are we these two-dimensional beings that are made in a holographic 3D dimensional space, and where we are a simulation, a computer program, and all that wonderful stuff. Not saying we are, not saying we're not, just saying that that's not what I mean. That's not what I mean at all. There's a writer that, you know, I've been listening to a little bit of his writings, interviews, and you know, just people talk about him in general. I'm trying to think of this writer's name, and probably should have had this planned out beforehand. But this writer, he spent most of his life trying to pursue being a writer, you know, making that his chosen profession. But it was always this thing that eluded him, that never really quite rung true. And there's different reasons for that, but he did make a tremendous effort, at least I think so, maybe, possibly, to make it happen, but it just never worked out. And this guy that's a writer, by the time he was 40 years old, you know, he had been a hobo for the most of his life. And for you kids out there that don't know what a hobo is, it is not a homo, it is a hobo, H-O-B-O. It's an entirely different type of person. It's a person that back during the Great Depression would hop on a train and they would go and try to find work wherever they could. You know, their home is wherever they found their head lying at night, you know, and I don't mean decapitated. I mean they just kind of traveled from place to place, because that's how it was for men of working age there for a while. Now, don't get a hobo confused with a bum. A bum is different from a hobo. A bum is, well, what they sound like. They bum money. They don't want to work. They don't want to do whatever. But then again, some people, not all people that ask for money are bums. Let me make a correction there. But typically, someone that's called a bum is someone that refuses to work. How about we put it that way? Yeah, let's put it that way. I think that's a better way to put it. Our most fantastic friend, Alan Lohr, is here with us tonight. Hey, friend, glad that you're here tuning in. I just wanted to kind of babble and talk about life and just to enjoy your all's company and try to draw a little bit. You know, I've been a slacker. Sideburns writes, I'm told I look like a hobo, so no hard feelings. Well, that's not a bad thing. So that means you look like a working man. You're a working man. Oh, shucks. Look at that. Look at that ink just splatter on there. It's all right. In the words of Mark Silvestri, not a direct quote here, but they all can't be a winner. Oh, let's get that computer screen up and running. It's all right. I'll leave it down because we still got good enough light. And I got a spare light to use. I've been putting together a studio It's not set up yet, because I'm not moved into my new dwelling. But once I do, I'll have handy things like this, different types of lighting, I guess. I got a on-air sign and all this other stuff. More than likely, all that stuff will just end up being wasted because I won't I won't know how to deploy it in a effective manner. So anyway, the question of the night is, am I real? And I was talking about, like, I don't mean like the Matrix or anything. I don't mean that, but in the sense of like, who am I? Who am I really? What kind of person am I? I mean, I got a rough idea of what kind of person I am, but who am I? Who am I? And you'd be surprised at how many people in life don't ask themselves that question. They just exist from one moment to the next, and they just, I don't know, procreate and eat and sleep and that sort of thing. And I'll be honest, to some degree, I envy those people. Those people that don't lay awake at night thinking about all these philosophical questions. These people that are just able to do these selfish things where they don't consider other people, and they just, that sort of thing. But anyway, I was talking about this writer who was a hobo for a big chunk of his life. And by the time he was 40, he found himself at a post office, and he just didn't have much success at being a writer. He wrote many short stories, and that was a very common thing back in the day, where you would submit your short stories to magazines and then sometimes books. But it seemed like it was maybe like a lot of pulp magazines, that sort of thing. And a lot of writers got their start doing that. I'm not for sure, don't quote me on this, but I believe H.P. Lovecraft, of Lovecraftian horror, cosmic horror fame, was one such fellow. Also, another guy whose name I'll probably butcher is Louis L'Amour, who wrote many of a terrific Western. He's another one that went that route. And that was just something that a lot of writers did. That's how they got started, was writing for magazines and getting maybe like a backup story in an anthology book or something, which is sort of like what we're doing right now. We're working on an anthology. And maybe some of us is the next H.P. Lovecraft or Louis L'Amour or something like that, but in the art or comic realm, I don't know. Maybe none of us are. Maybe some of us are. It is a mystery. So this guy, who's a writer, 40 years, not having much luck, works at a post office, wrote a book called The Post Office, I believe. And he would always, when he would write about this character. Was it Chinsky? Might have been Chinsky was the name of the character. And it was really, these stories of fiction were more autobiographical than anything. This writer was a drunk. Sorry to all you drunks out there, but he was a drunk, and he would say that to you as well. He loved prostitutes. He loved hanging with people that were deemed undesirable by society. Hung around bars a lot. He was a interesting man. And this guy, by the time he was 40, he started a change of philosophy, which was to not try. Not try. Now, I've heard this term a lot on YouTube and all this other stuff. And it's the idea of basically when you're trying to do something that you're passionate about, sometimes you end up choking it to death. Much like the lady in Misery, where she's breaking that writer's feet. Not to get confused with the writer I'm talking about. I'm talking about this fictitious one. Sometimes that we can love something so much that we're actually hurting it, killing it even. And well, we certainly don't want that. The concept of don't try, it doesn't necessarily mean that you don't try at all, but rather, you don't sweat it. Like when you're working on something you're passionate about, you put the effort in required, but don't get stressed out about it. Just enjoy the process. And that's one of the things I've noticed about most successful people is they tend to just enjoy the process. Like they're not sitting there wondering why they're not more famous or they're not having more success or why they're not making more money. They're just doing it. And I envy those people. That's another group of people I envy. People that can just enjoy, allow themselves to enjoy what they're doing and just continually do it and not worry about all this other frivolous funk, which would be an awesome song for some reason, like a good, nice jazz song with a bit of funk rock elements, frivolous funk. And that's kind of what I'm in right now, is a frivolous funk. Oh, not too bad. I'm making it sound worse than what it is. So this writer said, don't try. And he's become one of the most famous writers of the modern age. I mean, he's dead now. He may have died in the 80s, maybe, or early 90s. I'm not for sure. He's got like 5 well-known books. I'm sure some of you more knowledgeable folks out there that actually, read quite a bit would put me to shame and be able to name this wonderful individual right away. But that's not important. What is important is what I'm talking about. And it's like, you can chase something so hard that you're actually going further away from it, as weird as that sounds. I'm just so tired of it. I'm so tired of the chase, And then I think one of the reasons that there is such a chase is when you get older, such as I'm not quite yet an old man, but well on the path to being just that. You look back on your life and then you see what life there is ahead and you get worried, scared, anxious. I don't know. And you're like, there's stuff I want to do. There's things that I want to accomplish. And it's like the clock, that clock, a clock that you never see, but it's the clock to your very life. It's ticking. The other day, I do this probably like once, twice, 3 times a year. I'll check out like websites like the Air National Guard or something like that, being thoroughly unsatisfied with the direction my life's going, thinking that maybe what I need is a kickstart, thinking that maybe there's a Hail Mary out there and this is what I need to do. And I always forget that there's a reason why I stopped short of doing those things. In the past, when I was younger, it was out of the fear of losing my freedom. Like you're signing up for something that they won't let you leave, not fully realizing there's ways to get out of things. And I'm not going to go too much into that, but there are ways to get out of the military if you really don't want to be in it. But didn't know that when I was younger. And by the time I was a little bit older, being knowledgeable of these things and more mature to realize that there's so many great benefits to that sort of life. Even if you just do a 2 to 4 year term or whatever it is nowadays. Then it became an issue like being overweight. It's not so easy to lose weight. So yeah, and then here recently, semi-recently, I go to look it up again, Air National Guard. And why the Air National Guard? Is it because I'm fond of it? No, it's because they have the latest age requirements. What I mean by the latest, I don't mean like the most up to date. I mean like basically, a lot of times they want people in their 20s and stuff doing the military, but their age requirement was 39. And I am older than that now. And I remember looking at that, and it's like, it was sad. It wasn't like depressing, but it was like, oh, I see. So that ship has sailed. Cooper, turn that down. Hurry. Turn it down. Please. Jeez, man, come on. Ah! Hmm. Sorry about that. I was trying to have a train of thought there, and then all I hear is like this TV show in the background called Spy Ninjas. Just really loud. So anyway, so like that ship sailed, and it's not like something ironclad. But the reason I bring it up is like talking about the passage of time, the flow of life, and how that stuff tends to go. So I'm watching these things on YouTube, for instance. This writer that I've been talking about, whose name I can't remember. Been watching other, people talking about life and philosophy and that sort of thing. And it's just been an interesting, few weeks thinking about stuff. Let me answer a few questions or comments before I go any further. If I work real hard as a bum, make my way up to hobo class, I can then eventually become the Fisher King. I think it's possible. I can't remember that Robin Williams movie that well. It's been so long. Seemed like he had a collection of rocks or something. I cannot remember. In addition, can I level up my shopping cart to carrying capacity? I think it's possible. By the way, always return the shopping cart. I believe, yes, absolutely. There was a meme slash thing that went viral there for a while where it's talking about like, if you really want to know what kind of person another human being is, just watch them when they go grocery shopping. I don't mean stalk them, but if you happen to look and they load their groceries into the car, the question is, do they leave the shopping cart where it's at, or do they return it back to where it's at? Now, the reason it's such a poignant thing is because, you know, it's not a criminal act if you leave it where it's at. No one's going to say anything to you if you do. And so it's very telling. It is very telling about what kind of person you are if you leave it laying or sitting there or whatever it is. You know, you just kind of, you don't return the cart. And I really do believe in that test. You know, I think it's interesting. Our most awesome friend, Lion Tiger Man 23, is here with us tonight. He's like, yo, how's everything going? It's going good. So I've been paying attention to a lot of philosophy stuff, or at least, you know, a little bit here and there. And so I've been pondering these things. And one day I went to a local Dollar General where I live. And for those that don't know, Dollar General is kind of the same thing as Walmart, but smaller. But they're getting bigger, and they're eventually going to overtake Walmart because Walmart is not paying attention. It's going to be a thing, trust me. But anyway, I was at a Dollar General, and I've been really caught up in buying this lactose-free milk made by Clover Valley. It's really awesome. I think they're putting a lot of sugar in it, and that's probably the reason I like it. But yeah, it's fantastic milk. Why do I get lactose-free milk? Well, I don't really have a problem with regular milk. I got it for the fam, but they don't ever drink it. So I ended up drinking it, loving it. And I use it to make bubble tea or boba tea, depends on how you pronounce it. It's fantastic tea. So anyway, I'm there to get my 2 cartons of this Clover Valley lactose-free milk. And I see this guy. He looks familiar. I've seen him before. Can't quite place it. You know, he's bald-headed. He has a mustache. He had a Nightmare on Elm Street t-shirt. Skinny dude. And when I say bald-headed, his head is shaved clean bald. Tan complexion, a few tattoos here and there. And he's just a really cool dude, you know, like he's being super helpful to everybody and very talkative and that sort of thing. You know, and he's very talkative with me, and you know, we conversate here and there. And I realized that this man is a former high school acquaintance I hadn't seen in decades. And, you know, I found myself respecting this guy. And you'd be like, well, what is it that you respect about him, CB? What is worthy of your admiration? Not that I'm somebody high and lofty or better than anybody else, but well, what is it that you admire about this fellow? And what I admired about him is his individualism. You know, he wasn't a caricature, you know, where, you know, this larger than life personality or anything, though he could be if he wanted to be. No, that's not it. He's not a caricature. You know, he's not the class clown. He's not the school bully or anything like that. You know what I mean? What he is he's an individual. He's a person with his own particular taste and wants and needs and that sort of thing. And he's not afraid to express it. But he's polite and respectful and all this other stuff. And I can't really explain it well, even though that's kind of the whole theme of the video. So that's kind of a travesty in and of itself. But when I left there, it got me thinking, about myself. I wear T-shirts that don't have logos on them and stuff like that because I feel like I don't want to be a walking billboard. You know, it's like, I mean, if somebody wants to do that, I don't look down on you or anything like that. I mean, I do have some Metallica or Megadeth shirts and, a few things like that, things that I'm truly passionate about, maybe some head keto or what have you. But having said that, though, most of my T-shirts are very plain Jane, no logos or anything like that. And it's like, here's this guy, and every day he shows up at work, he's got a different horror themed T-shirt. He sells VHSs on the side and stuff like that of horror and old pro wrestling videos, like WWF and things of that nature. And I feel like he's truly himself. Now, for me, all my life, I feel like I've been truly myself for the most part. A lot of times, when we live in the society that we live in, we wear these masks, these social constructs, um, so that we can fit in and get along with other people, so that we can function in a society. And for some people, these masks take over, and they become those things, but it's not their true self, for the most part, and they kind of get lost in that. Again, that's more stuff that I've been seeing or looking into. It makes me wonder. I've never been one to wear these masks. I've always been upfront about who I am and what I'm about, and it's been a double-edged sword. It's allowed me to have lifelong friends, true friends, but at the same time, it's also been to my detriment, to where it's caused me to be alienated from people and, lonely and aloof. So that kind of sucks. Depends on how you look at it. So it got me thinking, like, who am I? Am I real? Am I authentic in any way? Or am I something else entirely? And the reason I ask this, because I've been thinking about, rehabbing my YouTube channel and stuff like that. All the big YouTube channels, they usually have one thing in common: is come hell or high water, they're very expressive in their opinion or viewpoint. Now that does alienate people. That does make some people be like, I'll never listen to this person again, and all this other stuff. But at the same time, these people experience explosive growth because they draw to them like-minded individuals. So it's interesting. My whole rant is not about being a provocateur for the sake of being a provocateur, but it is kind of about, and the question of, who am I? Am I real? Am I authentic? Well, I'm pretty certain in as to who I am, but I'm not certain on as to the question of, am I real? Because it's like, there's many times, sometimes in live streams, and sometimes when I'm making edited videos, where I have an opportunity to be blunt, and I stop myself because I know someone's going to get hurt or upset or whatever, and it feels terrible and awful to have a muzzle, you know? That's one thing I can never stand growing up and living, and still to this day, is having a muzzle. It's miserable. It's very, very miserable. Anyway, so that's something I've been pondering about, how can I be more authentic? How can I be more real? And at what cost does this come? Especially in terms of, YouTube and stuff, because nothing comes without a cost, doesn't it? Everything has a price. Oh, I'll tell you something else interesting. I don't know if you just want to hear about this, but here lately, my last live stream, somewhat newsworthy, is that that became officially my most viewed live stream to date, with 118 views, which was kind of like a little milestone achievement, which is really cool. And I thank all of you and everybody for that. Now what I mean is, like, I don't mean like 118 people tuned in live as I was, dicking around and doing that sort of thing. I made it sound like I was being naughty. What I mean is like drawing. No, no, it was like whatever views I had live, which could be anywhere from like 1 to 8 or 10, and the pre-recorded views, that came later. So I thank you all for that. It's pretty cool. I like that. And I never know what videos people are going to respond to or watch or enjoy or partake of. It's always kind of like a mystery to me. I can never figure that out. That's always a thing. It's always a thing. I think my castle is coming along fairly nice. I'll probably gum it up at some point, but whatever. But right now, at this moment in time, it's everything I ever wanted and more. I basically got a cybernetic robot pointing at the castle, and he's letting our barbarian hero know that the wizard is reported to be within. So, and then I got to figure out how that turns into his battle with the dragon witch. So I think that will be interesting. Really wanting a lot of visual cool stuff in here, but I also want the story to have some meat to it. It's always something that concerns me, because I feel like, if one fails, the other one's there to help it. But ideally, I want both of them to sing and work in unison to make the perfect song. But in case that doesn't happen, at least, the writing can save the day, or the art will save the day. in terms of making something that would be worthwhile to, readers and that sort of thing. And speaking of YouTube and woe's me and all this good stuff, my YouTube channel's been growing slowly but surely, not because of anything that I've done. It's just I don't know what's happening. I'm getting a subscriber about every week or every other week, and it seems YouTube likes a video that I've done. And so it's recommending it to people, and people are liking it. It's not the best video of all time, but it's a good one, I think. My, how to draw videos seem to be getting some response, and the one I did on perspective, how to draw people in perspective, seems to be a good one, according to YouTube, anyway. Scratching the papers. Don't want to do that. Okay. I want his hand to look a little battle fatigued, a little bit of that going on. Turning the paper here and there. First thing I didn't want to do. Okay, so our excellent friend Abe is here with us. He says, "Hey y'all, night crew in effect." Indeed. Let's see. So I got this going on right now, and I wonder if I can zoom up just a little bit. Let me lock this into place. All right, so got what's happening in the top panel, and then down below, I've got this stuff going on, which is we've got Star Fury riding his Triceratops Pegasus as he makes his way toward the castle, and then we get this worm's eye view where he's looking up. Then we see him climbing. Now, there is like one or two really cool looking poses when it comes to climbing, but they've not been done to death yet, but they're very iconic. Joe Mad did a cool climbing pose in some type of Inhumans comic that I can't remember. So I may end up swiping or stealing that sometime in the future, but for this comic, I just like, you know what, I'm going to try my best to do something different. And then here we've got him reaching the top of the tower and climbing through the window, which ends with him basically walking in the laboratory of the wizard's laboratory. And a couple of quick thoughts about all this crap is that this should look better by the time I'm done. I mean, like, you pretty much saw how the castle kind of started out, and then how this ended up. So I feel like it's an improvement from how it was initially with the pencils. I'm hoping that I will do the same with this. One of the things that I had in mind as I was drawing this, I'm a really big fan of Carlos Pacheco, or Pacheco. I don't know how to pronounce his name. He died here like a year ago. He did the X-Men and Fantastic Four, Universe X or whatever, X Universe. A lot of stuff like that. Did Excalibur for a little while, and anyway, great artist. And I love the fact that he could do what George Perez could do, which is, he could put things in a small panel and just make them look larger than life. I admire that skill. and the details that he would put into stuff and his rubble and all these other things. And he had good little interesting camera angles that he would draw. And so that's kind of what I had in mind with this layout, doing something like that. But we'll see. Abe says, wanted to say hi. CB art looks great. And I got to go back to work on camera later on. Well, I'm glad that you popped in and said hi and stuff like that. It's been a while since I heard from you, so it's good to know you're doing well. Well, it doesn't mean that you're doing well, but you seem to be doing well, I suppose. And so I appreciate it, and thank you for the kind words. I'm trying to level up, as our friend Marsh says from Marsh Makes Comics, but we'll see how well my leveling up goes. Okay. Okay. We'll see how it goes. Okay. Whew. Man, oh man. Now I'm going to be inking this thing. The fear, the trepitations. That's not even a word, is it? Not tribulation, tribulations, trepitations. All right, I need a little bit more room here because my pen is bumping the camera. And I need more ink as well. I'm having to dip further down to get to the ink. Come on, don't do me like this. It's lame. So I'm butchering it now. What's going on here, Doc? Okay. Cyburn says it's trepidations. Thank you. Lion Tiger Man says, I'm heading to bed right now. Take care. And art is looking good. Thank you, Tiger Man. Thank you. Really appreciate that. You have a good night. You take it easy. Take it easy, friend. Oh, it's getting scary time right now because I'm making all these lines. Some of them are coming out thicker than how I wanted them. So I don't like that. Um, so, I got a lot to think about here lately, a lot of things to ponder. I'm not really having a identity crisis, contrary to how my video sounds. But I do think that it's important to every once in a while ask yourself questions, about who you are and all this other stuff. It doesn't hurt. At least I don't think so. But to those of you that are certain of who you are and what path you're on, God bless you. Good sir, good ma'am, good night. It must be nice to have that level of certainty, Must be nice. I'm gonna have to do the rest of that with something different because I don't want to gum it up too much. Know what I mean, Vern? Was this turning into paper? What's going on here? And this is going to sound dumb, but I hate this axe because it is so hard to draw. Basically, when I started out, I just drew this shape that looked really cool when it was upside down. But when you turn it to its proper proportions, it doesn't look as cool, honestly. So it becomes an issue to draw. It's a little bit of trouble. Look how this thick line turned out. And that ain't good, is it? That's not pleasing. Let's see. They put in a little Ron Friends in there. Love Ron Friends. Well, you could say that's also a some Sal Buscema, John Buscema techniques. Adam says you may have something a little bit stuck in your nib. Yeah, it did look fuzzy there at one point, but you right. You probably right. When you get like a fuzzy thing on the end of one of these bad boys, it just gobs out the ink. Might have something stuck in your nib if it's coming out thicker than expected. Oh, come on, Nib. You ain't gonna do me like this. What you doing, brother? What you doing, brother? When all else fails. When all else fails, we go to the marker. I plan on getting some microns soon to see how those do. Just cause I don't feel like these make as black lines as they should. So I kind of don't like that. Sorry, I'm getting quiet. Like this is one of the most important things on this drawing, and I don't want to mess up because I can always white it out and fix it digitally, but it's always more of a hassle when you do that. It's just best to kind of get it right the first time. What's going on, pen? Now you don't want to write? You gonna do me like that? Sure is. About ink this little booger out. That ain't right. Mm-mm-mm. So that looks kind of bad, to be honest with you. It does. I'm not happy. I'm not happy with how this is turning out. But that's the thing, though. It's not finished till it's finished. We still got a work in progress. I got another thing I got to decide. Do I want some of this image to bleed over? And I've decided instantaneously I do not. So I need to be aware not to um, draw the rest of this. And, the main reason is I don't feel like it's necessary. I love to break borders and stuff like that, but I feel like, this does a good enough job, and don't want to add extra work right now. Trying to do these weird little scritchy, scratchy lines that change in width and stuff and thickness, like the comic pros do. I always I like that aesthetic. I always think it's pretty cool. It's a neat thing to see or behold. There's a couple people on Instagram. I feel like one's named Sandra Hope, but I could be wrong. She's like an inker that may have got started at Wildstorm, and she works for DC. And she's a pretty good inker overall. And she's a better inker than me. I don't mean to be disrespectful or anything. You know what I mean. But she's a good inker, and it's neat to watch somebody like her kind of do her thing. I think she uses brushes and nibs and everything, markers. So it's always cool when you see a pro doing something that you're kind of leaning toward to doing yourself. Although it's albeit, you know, far superior and better. Ink lines kind of put me in mind of Joe Kubert a little bit, which is not a bad thing. It's a cool thing. I love how Joe Kubert just kind of farts stuff out and it looks good. I want to fart stuff out too and have it look palatable. All right, so going to the end of the video, I do have some parting thoughts. If you all stick with me, and then we'll all say goodbye and good night and that good stuff. Um, so I still plan on pimping out my YouTube channel and trying to do something a little bit better with that. I'm planning on a slew of new videos and see how that goes. Um, I'm thinking about reviving my mental junk food series, and of course doing more how to draw videos, maybe doing some creepy pasta stuff again. Just trying to do a lot of content to grow my channel. And why? Because honestly, I do enjoy that stuff. It can be fun, even though it's a ton of work. But also because I want to grow my channel and get eyeballs on my art and the projects I'm working on, so I can try to further my career. Which is kind of in conflict of not trying, as the philosophies say, or something like that. I don't know if I cannot try, but I do know that I can relax and chill out a little bit. The main thing is for me to just keep making art and learn to do it for fun. Learn to make videos for fun. Because I feel like if you're having fun, other people will notice it and they'll want to kind of hang out and play too. And, I think this video might be a testament to that, in a sense of like, I enjoy talking about life. I enjoy philosophy and theology and all that good stuff, and having a discourse. And think some of my best videos is usually things of that nature, you know. And I guess, you know, a few final things would be, um, you know, we do have a friend who is not doing too well. I think this person is recovering. They've had something happen to them. It's not terrible, but it's not good either. And this thing that happened to this individual, you know, they could use some prayers. Let me put it that way, because my business is I mean, their business is not my business to say. You know what I mean? And until they say it, I'm not going to say anything. You know what I mean? You know what I mean, Vern? So, for those of you that pray, you know, pray for this individual. Those of you that don't or are not into that thing, you know, send your positive vibes and all that stuff, well wishes or, or whatever. Uh, you know, there might still be some type of good that can come from that, because you know they need some positive stuff happening for them, you know. And for anybody else watching that's interested in the 100s anthology, I just want to say that you don't need nobody's permission to. Well, no. You do kind of need people's permission to be part of the anthology. But if you're wanting to, if you're wanting to just draw for, you know, do your own 100s challenge or do your own 100s anthology, go do it. You know, go have fun. You know, just go do it. You know, because to me, the 100s challenge is always about being about you, about making yourself better than what you were the day before. That was kind of like the whole purpose, you know, of that. And I do feel like at one point things kind of got lost in translation, and I don't want people upset at me for saying that, but you know, the challenge, I feel like if you got to break rules, break rules. It should be more about your productivity as opposed to anything else. Really and truly. I guess I'm kind of rambling right now. I'm a rambler. But this is turning out okay now. Don't like this, which is, you know, kind of bad for him to be the star of the show, but kind of nice, I think. Um, but yeah, I love y'all and appreciate everything. If you're getting stressed out at life, just realize that life's like a roller coaster. You're going to have ups where things go up, and then you're going to have the downs where it sucks, which is kind of weird for a roller coaster and thought of analogy, because roller coasters are supposed to get fun when they go down, but life is kind of the reverse. You know what I mean? So you're going to have your ups and downs, and just understand that when you're in the down period, it's going to change at some point. It has to. It's a mathematical certainty, as a matter of fact, that things will go back on the up again. And it may take a while. Maybe you'll wander in the wilderness for maybe 40 years or however long it was, you know, like Moses and his people, before you find uh, the promised land. I don't know. I don't know. Hopefully, and most sincerely, it is my hope that it doesn't last that long for you. But whatever you're doing and whatever you're going through, just understand that things will get better, and that there's people out there that want to help, that will help if they can. If they can't, there's somebody else that will. And if there's nobody, know that God will try to help you if you let Him. And know that, you know, there are better days ahead, and life can and will improve. Sometimes it takes a little bit of work to get it there. And for those of you that are working on your comic projects or whatever it is that you're working on and you have doubts, the only thing I can tell you is just work through those doubts. You know, just work through it. That's the only thing you can do. If you fear your inadequacies, there's no way to get better than to just go ahead and give yourself permission to be terrible. Okay, give yourself that permission to be terrible and just go ahead and make crappy art, make crappy music, make crappy whatever. Because by making crap, somehow it spins spins cotton into gold. You know what I mean? And the only way, in terms of comics, to be a comic artist is to make comics. And so you're going to have to make some rough looking stuff starting out, as you can tell by what I'm doing right here. And so power through, stick through it, stick to it. Give yourself days to breathe and take a break and all this other stuff. But guys and gals and guys, just keep at it, okay? So please remember to be the tide that rises all ships, to be the change that you want to see. And I truly believe that if you have righteousness on your side, mighty forces will come to your aid. Carpe diem, my friends. Seize the day. Okay, seize that day. Grab it and make it yours. And if it tries to run away, allow yourself to become a stalker or whatever, regardless, much love to you all, and I will hopefully see you all again real soon in the next video, and cue the intro, outro music or something different.